Showtime.
Yeah, showtime.
Maybe you'll laugh.
Ha ha ha! Hardy har har!
Maybe you'll cry. You definitely will be entertained.
It's that simple. Are we clear? Are we clear?
On with the show, this is it.
Welcome to the BS Show. I'm Bob Sansevier, coming to you from the Bradshaw and Bryant and Smart Start MN studios. We start things off with a very special guest. He is the state representative for well, give me Albertville. How many towns do you have, Eric?
Well, thank you, Bob, for inviting me on this morning. And I have to apologize up front here. I had a head cold I developed last week, so I'm just on the tail end of that now, so I apologize for the stuffiness. But I have the privilege of representing the great Wright County communities of Albertville, St. Michael, Otsego, Hanover, and then the Wright County portion of Dayton.
Okay, and Eric Lucero is our guest. I just said Eric a minute ago. And you don't have where I live, which is the Buffalo Rockford Township area. That's Marion O'Neill. And I know you guys work together. You've been at a few school board meetings, annual meetings we have, and I'm on the Buffalo School Board. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We need to talk about a fella by the name of John Thompson, and many people know that name now who may not have known it. Started off in Hugo when he went after Bob Kroll, the police union chief, and he had some piñatas he was whacking. He's the guy who threatened to burn down Hugo, and he still got elected because he had Governor Walz's endorsement. And then the most recent thing, the July 4th, the whole thing didn't have a plate, claimed the cop was racist he was racially profiled, pulled him over. But you, Eric, became part of another. There's so many layers to this guy, but you became part of one of the stories on the House floor when he accused you of being a racist. What was it that you said that's his default? He calls everyone a racist. But you have a great story, and your response was terrific. But what did you say that got him all worked up? Was it that he wasn't a Minnesota resident? Because he isn't. He's got a Wisconsin license. I'm now referring to him as the Wisconsin resident state representative, John Thompson. Is that what set him off, or was it something else?
No, I actually had the audacity to stand up for our brave men and women in law enforcement who are risking their lives each and every day to protect ours. So we were debating a provision, an amendment on the House floor, and I was doing just that, standing up for law enforcement and defending them. And that's what set him off.
And he calls you a racist. All right. But your response later in the day on the floor was phenomenal. Now, Eric, I got to tell you, Lucero, I'm thinking you're an Italian, but I'm wrong. I thought you were a fellow Itai. You are, Lucero is Hispanic, right?
My dad's side is Hispanic, exactly.
Okay, but tell the rest of the story, what other relatives you have and what their background is.
So just a little bit more background. So you're spot on regarding Thompson. He throws out the word racist more plentifully than candy is thrown out at our Minnesota summer parade. and that's one of the reasons why the other side, these extremist Democrats, they're so used to the playbook. We're just going to call anybody that disagrees with us, anybody we don't like what they're saying, we're going to call them racist, and that's going to shut them down. Well, that's what he tried, and that doesn't work with me. So on the House floor, yes, I was defending law enforcement. He didn't like that, so he said, I know you're a racist. I know you're a racist. So then, and he doesn't know me from Adam.
You never met him.
Exactly. So later that day on the House floor, I had to share with him a little bit about my background. So as I already mentioned, my dad's side, I'm Hispanic, and I married an East Indian woman from Pakistan who herself has a Muslim background. Yeah. And she's now a Christian. We're both Christians, but back then at the time we got married in a mosque. So my entire in-law side of my wife's family, my in-laws are all Muslims. Yeah. And so I have just between the two of us, right, Hispanic and Indian, yep. Being East Indian being from the nationality of Pakistan. That in and of itself is so two minorities there. But then you add in the religious minority component. Then my brother also married a minority. And so my nieces and nephews through my brother are all mixed minorities. My sister married a minority. She had her wedding, in fact, in Kenya over in Africa. My dad was not able to be there at the time. So I'm actually the one who walked my sister down the aisle and gave my sister away to Edgar, and so my nieces and nephews through my sister are mixed minorities. Then my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, has children with a minority, and so there's mixed minorities through them. So our entire family is just a beautiful rainbow of diversity. And so when they try to throw this playbook at me, it is not going to work.
Okay, and I say this with a tongue-in-cheek. Eric, what do you have against white people? No one in your family wants to marry anyone who's white?
Well, the fact is, I'll tell you, I believe, it's in my opinion, that the olive skin is incredibly beautiful.
And I've got a little bit of that with being an Italian, so I'm not going to argue with you on that one. But I just think no one could have had a better response than you did to this guy. And by the way, I wanted to ask you about this too. Last week, and you and we talked off the air, had the same reaction. Word got out that he went to the precinct, apologized to the cop who he claimed he racially profiled him, and now and I'm thinking, what's his play? This guy never apologizes. And now we're hearing he's saying, I didn't apologize. So there's nothing redeemable about the way he behaves.
That's exactly right. So I saw the headline as well, and he going to the police station. I had heard that it was, for the most part, unannounced. He kind of just showed up. I would think if somebody's going to do that, right, at least coordinate it. Coordinate with the police department and show up and make sure the guy's there. And I don't know what degree it happened, but he just kind of showed up unannounced. My understanding, it was a very brief conversation, and that was it on a Friday evening. But then I thought, okay, you know what? Good for him. Good for him for going and doing that and apologizing. I'll give that to him. But then it finds out, as I'm reading the headlines just before going to bed last night on Sunday evening, I see a new headline. Thompson insists he never apologized. Well,
this guy's how dare they say I apologized?
Exactly. And so, and you and I had the same thought. What's the play here? Whatever good graces he might have achieved from apologizing, he's now trying to make sure and make it clear to everybody he never apologized. So he's going from a potentially positive light right back into a negative light.
He's just an amazing guy. And, we ran into each other yesterday at the Wright County State Fair. You were there with State Senator Bruce Anderson. And I had mentioned to you, too, if ever I had any doubt, this guy is proof that karma exists because of all the things he's done. It's like coming back and biting him in the butt. The list of things that this guy's got going on, and now the leadership of his party has finally turned on him, and they want him to resign, and he's just refusing. He claimed after his latest court case, and by the way, anyone who hasn't, take a look at what he was accused of. This involves children, too, and it's reprehensible. So this is not a good guy. Okay, allegedly, this is not a good guy.
So when I saw that article, what was that? That was early, I think, last week. When I read the article, they were very detailed.
Yes.
And I thought, I've never actually, I don't recall seeing such graphic detail in a mainstream media report before. But it's, I won't say it on the air here, but it was just to the point where it was so graphic that he was to the point where he was flashing himself in front of children.
And that's why it's reprehensible. And I said this as well yesterday. Either, first of all, if you're the governor and you're going to endorse someone, you have enough people on your staff, you better vet them. So either they didn't vet them to find this out, or they did and they ignored it. And I know one is worse than the other. If they knew it and still endorsed them, that's worse than not vetting him at all. And that's something that every one of these people need to be held accountable for when it comes Election Day. You will allow this guy or help this guy get elected with that kind of a past and those kind of accusations. And that, to me, is inexcusable. I know. I'm going to ask you quickly because I told you I wouldn't keep you long. Have you decided who you're going to endorse for governor, or are you thinking of making a run yourself? I mean, with your rainbow of background, you could be a candidate that everyone's happy with.
Well, for me personally, no, I am not throwing my hat in the ring for governor. I am very content where the Lord has put me. If he opens up some doors in the future, I'll consider that. But for now, I am very fine fighting for truth, fighting for the Constitution as state representative. In terms of endorsing, as of right now, no, I'm not. I'm I want to make sure that all names are in that are going to throw their hats in before I decide.
That's a good point. And I've already I've been tapping her because Amy Koch is on the show with Brian McDaniel every Tuesday, and I wish Amy would decide to run because I think she'd be terrific because she could reach across the aisle and get things done, and she never should have resigned when she did and why she did because so many people it's it's nothing compared to what else is going on. But anyway,
another Wright County person.
That's
so we
absolutely
have
right.
A great crop from Wright County.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And Eric, I've become, after talking to you about yesterday and today, I've become a huge fan. I'm pushing for you too. You and Amy, the ticket, that could be one heck of a ticket. All right.
There you go, the Colt Lucero ticket.
All right. Eric, thanks so much, Eric Lucero. Give me I don't know what number you're in. State rep for, what's your district?
So it is State House District 30, B as in boy.
All right. Eric, thanks so much. We'll take a quick break.
Thank you so much.
All right. BS Show, be right back.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
Congratulations to all the Minnesota businesses that scraped through the last year. It sure hasn't been easy, but we've done it together. And while we certainly need to move forward, it's good to reflect on what we've been through and the many losses. Here at Bradshaw & Bryant, we held a lot of Zoom meetings, increased our phone calls, and have done our best to keep up with all the changes while continuing to provide quality work. We'd like to thank everyone that turned to us with their personal injury and criminal needs, as well as the courtrooms for bringing the community back together to serve justice. We look forward to being part of Minnesota's growth and success for many years to come. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, don't sign anything till you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
Smart Start MN Ignition Interlock System knows getting a DUI can be a difficult time in your life. Besides the stigma and embarrassment of having a DUI, you have to worry about the possibility of losing your driving privileges. If that happens, you need to have a Smart Start Ignition Interlock System installed in your vehicle. The Smart Start Ignition Interlock System prevents a vehicle from operating if you've been drinking. With a Smart Start system installed in your vehicle, the state has to restore your driving privileges. Smart Start now is offering to come to your home or business to install its ignition interlock system. Smart Start has been available for nearly a decade, and it is the only locally owned and operated ignition interlock company approved in Minnesota. Smart Start has been involved in the crafting of Minnesota's ignition interlock program, and Smart Start representatives give seminars throughout Minnesota to clients, lawyers, and legislators. The people at Smart Start know it's a difficult time when you get a DUI. You'll find them to be compassionate, knowledgeable, and caring, and they can answer all your questions. Smart Start is run by attorneys who know the law. For more information, go to smartstartmn.com. That's smartstartmn.com, or call 952-224-7050. 952-224-7050. And that's where you need to go if you get a DUI.
Welcome back to the BS Show. This is Bob Sansevier. If you're thinking about buying an RV or travel trailer, there is only one person to talk to, Aaron Reimringer from Camping World in Monticello. He helped me find the trailer I wanted, and he will help you too. Aaron has been in sales for 20 years. He's personable, he's knowledgeable, he is relationship-based, and will work harder than anyone to get you what you want. Call Aaron at 612-505-8391, 612-505-8391. We are back, and we are joined by Sal Spy. She is an OnlyFans.com sensation, also a huge Vikings and Twins fans, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I wanted to mention the condolences go out to the Motzko family. Bob Motzko, the coach at the University of Minnesota, the hockey team, his son, Mac, just 20 years old, died from injuries from a car crash over the weekend. And as a parent of 5 kids, Sal, and I know you don't have children, but you certainly understand what I'm talking about, there's no bigger fear, and I can't imagine anything more devastating to a family or heartbreaking than the loss of a child. And it's just, there's so many people who lose children every day, but when I know Bob a little bit, and I didn't know his son, but I just, it's one of those things that hits you harder than other things. And I know you and I both know someone who passed away recently, Joe Johnson, and it hits you in ways that you just don't imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when it's something so shocking and someone so young with so much life ahead of them and plans for the future. it really takes your breath away and really makes you think. And it's so hard to even wrap your mind around.
Yeah, I heard about it late Sunday night, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's just there. So, again, our condolences to the Motzko family. Now, I want to try to switch gears here and lighten things up by playing. You know that word association game? I'm going to throw out.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to throw something out, and I just want to get your reaction. D.D. Westbrook. Okay. How do you react to that?
I'm really excited about it.
Well, I think you have reason to be, because they have one of the issues with their offense has been finding a third receiver, and they may have taken care of that. We don't know about his, how well he's recovered from ACL surgery, but he was a sub 4.4 speedster when he played for Jacksonville. He's being reunited with his former coach, Keenan McCardle, who's the wide receivers coach. So it could be huge for this team, and it actually makes me think, well, you know what? Kirk Cousins may go on my list for fantasy football now. He'd never made it before. Never thought he'd ever make it, but he's got an arsenal.
I saw that tweet, and I had to read it a few times to figure out if it was satire or not.
No, I've come back to my senses now. I'm not going to draft him.
Okay.
But I don't think it would not be crazy if you did. I mean, with this, I certainly would. I don't think you can avoid, if you're making a list of fantasy football quarterbacks, he would have to be in your top 16, the top half for fantasy football. I mean, last year,
absolutely. Yeah.
He threw for almost 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns and had a bad start to the year. First month was abysmal. So he really, numbers-wise, he should be looking at 4,500 plus and 40 plus touchdowns. If he doesn't, there's something wrong.
Oh, I agree. And he also didn't really have Jefferson much in those first three games.
No, that was idiotic that they didn't play him for the first two. They didn't play him at all, basically, in the first two. Beezy Johnson was the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever figured out why that was. But, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that the DD has been on my radar, all of free agency, because I thought it just seemed like a really natural fit. With his former coach being the wide receivers coach now for the Vikings, all the signs pointed to Keenan loved him and really enjoyed working with him and thought he had great potential. And I think if you're ever going to tear your ACL, you probably want to do it in October rather than at the end of the season. So,
yeah.
He's a young guy, and I think the future is bright for him. The sky's the limit, like you said, really fast. And that third wide receiver spot has been an issue for a long time.
Well, and somebody pointed out, by the way, because I did post something about, how I never thought I'd ever say this about Cousins, and I've gotten my senses back. But they say, the defense will be better. They won't be playing catch-up as much. It doesn't matter. He's still going to, when they're on offense, they're still going to be throwing the ball. I think they're going to be throwing. I know he wants to run the ball, but the biggest gap that they had last year in the offense was not using your running backs. And I'm not just talking about Dalvin Cook, Madison too, using your running backs more in the passing game, because I think that's a piece of the offense that was missing. And if they do integrate Dalvin Cook more and have all of these other options, and if the line is better, the numbers could be staggering that Cousins puts up. Because when he has protection, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks out there. I just am not convinced he's a winner who will take you to a Super Bowl, but that remains to be seen. And if you're playing fantasy football, what do you care if he gets you 3 touchdowns a week?
Well, right, of course you do, yeah. And, the defense thing, yes, they're going to be better, but I don't necessarily think that's going to translate. Yeah, like you said, there's going to be less gaps to make up for because you might not be coming from behind as much. But
all right, Sal, we got to keep this short. Sal Spice, check her out, onlyfans.com. Take a quick break. The BS Show. Be right back.
An all-new outdoor concert venue brought to you by the good folks at Lay Music Room and St. Michael Cinema. Summerfield Amphitheater and event space is coming soon. Live entertainment, food, and concessions. Garrison Keeler to hairball and every kind of act in between every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, May through September. Outdoors, right off of I-94 in St. Michael. Check out SummerfieldLive.com.
Music sounding fun, gonna get me some at Summerfield. Music sounding fun.
If you or someone you know is dealing with a DUI, go to smartstartmn.com/the BS Show, and you will get information for 20% off an ignition interlock system. Again, smartstartmn.com/the BS Show.
I've been telling BS Show listeners about Bradshaw and Bryant for years and about how they always are seeking justice for the injured at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. Bradshaw and Bryant also has attorneys who defend people against misdemeanor and felony criminal charges, and that includes drunk driving arrests. Bradshaw and Bryant seeks justice for everyone, and you can find out more at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. The Catholic solution to the healthcare problem is here. Paying too much for your healthcare costs? Solidarity Health Share is a health-sharing ministry which provides an ethical way to fund healthcare costs while protecting and practicing Catholic beliefs. Best yet, Solidarity Health Share members are exempt from the fines and penalties in the Affordable Care Act. For more information, call 844-313-4999. Again, 844-313-4999, or visit solidarityhealthshare.org. That's solidarityhealthshare.org. Welcome back to the BS Show. This is Bob Sansevier, and this segment is brought to you by All Auto Glass. I used them recently. They replaced windows on my car and truck. They have mobile service. They have up-to-date technology. They will calibrate vehicles that require it. Great cash prices if you don't have insurance, and a lifetime warranty on their replacements as long as you own your car. They work with all insurance companies, cover the entire Twin Cities metro area, and use quality products and workmanship. Check them out at allauto.com. That's allauto.com. We are joined by attorney, barrister, lawyer extraordinaire Jeff O'Brien from Chestnut Cambrone. And Jeff, we just did 3 shows before we started now, talking about everything going on in the world. And the one that, there's so many of them that are amazing to me. I'm going to go and start with the one with Tina Smith, who basically, she is our U.S. Senator, and rarely do you ever hear anything she's done, but she has done something that you gave her kudos for. And after looking into it and hearing what you had to say off the air, I'm going to agree with you. I do give her kudos because she's finally stepping up and going after someone who should be gone after for their lousy management of the Twins in terms of getting players and botching things. And now, because they haven't, as far as we know, they certainly didn't do enough to keep this helmet and bat manufacturer in Caledonia, Minnesota. So give me the background on that, and also what Tina Smith has done.
Yeah, so starting out with this, Bob. So there's a company called Mikan Sports, which makes bats and helmets for Major League Baseball. And they're located in Caledonia, Minnesota. And from what I've talked to folks in the know, like 2/3 of the town of Caledonia is somehow employed by Mikan Sports. It's a big deal. Okay.
Yep.
And Mikan Sports is owned by Rawlings, which makes a lot of gloves, and bats and balls and everything for baseball. And Rawlings is owned by a company called, it's an equity firm called Seidler Equity Partners, one of the principals being Peter Seidler, who's chairman of the San Diego Padres. Okay, so this is basically a company that's controlled by Major League Baseball, and it was announced last week that they were moving that Mikan Sports was moving its operations out of Caledonia, Minnesota, and off to China. And of course, it's going to cost a lot of jobs for the city of Caledonia. And nobody had really, I never heard this from a friend in the know, but I didn't really hear anything else about it all week until yesterday, where Senator Smith tweeted out this letter that she had written to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and Peter Seidler and his partners, and asking questions about why this is happening. And she's, making noise about what she, doing what she can in her powers to stop this from happening, right? And I give her credit for that. This is probably the first time I've ever agreed with her on something, but hey, she's right on this. Right? There should be questions, and my question has been, where the hell are the poll ads on this? You can't tell me that a family who has owned a Major League franchise since 1984 doesn't have some say with other owners or Major League Baseball as to the jobs being pulled out of their state and having a severe impact on a city within their state. it just doesn't make sense why they're sitting on their hands on this, and why it takes our U.S. senator to have to intervene to get some answers.
Well, my guess is she has somebody on her staff who's a baseball fan and heard about this, or someone reached out to her. But you're right, it's a worthwhile thing to go after. And where's Amy Klobuchar on this? They should be in this together. And also, who's the rep down in Caledonia? I have no idea. But that certainly should be someone stepping up.
But yeah, Amy's too busy pushing for, federalizing our election laws, apparently. But no, I give Senator Smith credit on this. The poll ads, this is on top of the Follovie Levine regime not putting together a Major League Baseball caliber pitching staff this year, on top of them setting up a Ferrari dealership in the Twin Cities, because all those Ferrari drivers you need to have a closer place to have your car serviced than Chicago.
Absolutely,
because they're just all over the roads here, right? And now on top of that, just kind of standing by silently and allowing this to happen. And I get it's a private business, but I'm guessing the poll ads if the poll ads probably should have said something about this, and should say something.
Well, you know what? This is Jim Pohlad picks up the phone and calls up the CEO of the Padres, who is the CEO of Rawlings, and says, "Look, don't do this." But obviously, it's a big money saver for them, or they wouldn't be doing it, because the costs in China are so much less. But there's a point where you have to just say enough. But I had a cynical thought. If it was a Republican Senate representative saying they can't do it, they'd be accused of being Asian haters. So anyway,
probably. And I think it's also that it's going to China, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was one thing. It's a whole different conversation if they're saying we're going to South Dakota or wherever because of Minnesota's poor business and tax policies. But China, it's obviously what they're doing. They want to use the cheap labor in a country that is known for its human rights abuses and lack of business ethics.
Well, that doesn't mean a thing when it can save them money. They overlook all of that. Now, one thing that shouldn't be overlooked, and you made a great point about it, and we're sort of staying on baseball here. There's a slugger with the young man. He's 27, right? Was it Yermin Mercado? Mercedes, excuse me. All right.
Mercedes, yeah.
And he was went off on a great tear early in the season. Then he just fell off the map, and they put him in a AAA. And Jeff, what was his reaction to being sent to AAA?
No, they were going to just remember this is the player for the White Sox that there was the controversy when they were in town a few months ago playing the Twins. He swung at a 3-0 pitch and hit a home run. And the next night, I think it was Tyler Duffy hit him. And Tony La Russa, the White Sox manager, kind of said, well, he broke an unwritten rule of baseball. You don't swing at a 3-0 pitch when you're up. Because the White Sox were up by an incredible amount in the game, right? And he said, you just don't do that. And it's like, are you seriously throwing your player under the bus? He swung at a pitch. He's been slumping after a hot start. And they were going to send him to their AAA team down in Charlotte. And he, on his Instagram, indicated that he was done with baseball. He was going to retire. And the reaction was, seriously? You get put down to AAA and you're going to immediately announce your retirement? And it just seemed, what it struck me as, Bob, initially was it was such a participation trophy generation thing to do, right? Yeah. I get demoted to AAA. So, once I'm there, I'm entitled to a major league spot. I'm going to quit. And fortunately, cooler heads have prevailed. And La Russa's taken a lot of criticism this year because he's not one of these managers that he doesn't play stat ball. He's an old school guy, right?
Yeah.
He's been around since I was a kid, coaching, and ironically, he was managing the White Sox back then. And La Russa said that he's had conversations with him and encouraging him, and now he's reported to Charlotte and he's down there playing. So it seems to have righted itself, but it's just a bizarre story.
He had a hissy fit.
I mean, you look at with the Twins this year, how many guys have gone back and forth from AAA to to the major league club, and it's going to happen more after the minor league realignment, right? That was the whole point of it, was that you could have guys being that close in AAA and go back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. Astudillo was playing third base for the Twins yesterday. I saw him at the Saints game a week ago Sunday, playing the same position.
Yeah.
Jake Cave has gone back and forth. Brett Rooker's gone back and forth.
Well, it's a lift ride.
That's what they do.
It's an Uber ride now to get them back to the majors.
That was the whole point of why they did. That was the whole point of why they did this.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen more, and just like, suck it up, Buttercup, deal with it.
Exactly. And by the way, we'll talk about this another time, but you know what? There should be no such thing as an unwritten rule. Make it a rule, and then be done with the unwritten rule. No sport has more unwritten rules than baseball. We'll leave it at that. Jeff O'Brien from Chestnut Cambronne, thank you so much. Take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back. This is Bob Sansevier, host of the BS Show, and I am joined by Shelley Schnell, who runs things over at St. Michael Cinema. They're up, they're open. They got the indoor and outdoor theaters open on weekends. They have a new place, Summerfield's, opening later in the month. It's going to be outdoor concerts. And Shelley, it sounds like you're getting back up to full speed. What is it like to be back after COVID in a year, more than a year of not being open?
More than a year, 16 months we were down inside, and the first couple weekends open was probably the most fun I've ever had in the theater business. The regulars coming in, the buckets in their hands, the poppers popping, the butter's melted, and it's exciting to see people back inside and wanting to see movies the way they were meant to be.
And when she says butter, she means real butter. It is my favorite theater of all time. Love the butter, love the feel, the seats, everything. And again, they are open for indoor movies on weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Outdoor, you can watch it on a 70-foot screen. Outdoors, Fridays and Saturdays. Summerfield's, the outdoor concert venue, will be open at the end of May. 45 to 50 concerts. Garrison Keillor to Hairball. You can't beat it. It's terrific. St. Michael Cinema, right off of 94. Go. If you or someone you know is dealing with a DUI, go to smartstartmn.com/the BS Show, and you will get information for 20% off an ignition interlock system. Again, smartstartmn.com/the BS Show. I've been telling BS Show listeners about Bradshaw and Bryant for years and about how they always are seeking justice for the injured at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. Bradshaw and Bryant also has attorneys who defend people against misdemeanor and felony criminal charges, and that includes drunk driving arrests. Bradshaw and Bryant seeks justice for everyone, and you can find out more at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. The Catholic solution to the healthcare problem is here. Paying too much for your healthcare costs? Solidarity Health Share is a health sharing ministry which provides an ethical way to fund healthcare costs while protecting and practicing Catholic beliefs. Best yet, Solidarity Health Share members are exempt from the fines and penalties in the Affordable Care Act. For more information, call 844-313-4999. Again, 844-313-4999, or visit solidarityhealthshare.org. That's solidarityhealthshare.org. We are back, and we are joined by Dave Bialke from Bialke Law, BIALKE Law.com. Besides being the best workers' comp attorney you will find anywhere, Dave is a huge fan of the Vikings and the Twins, so he's certainly got something to start watching this week. He's got, the Vikings open training camp. They got a new slot receiver, their third receiver, D.D. Westbrook. If he's recovered from his knee injury, and you would assume he has, or they wouldn't have signed him, he could really make this offense dynamic, even more dynamic than people thought it would be. And it had me even thinking something I never thought I'd think, Dave. Maybe I should consider having Kirk Cousins as my fantasy quarterback if the other guys I want aren't available, because he's got so many options in arsenal now. That to me is a big signing for them.
It's a huge signing. It's we talked about last week. You said, what's your biggest concerns and the biggest optimism on the Vikings, and so get to the concerns. What I said was depth at receiver. I think there is a huge drop off with Thielen and Jefferson. This ongoing fascination with B.C. Johnson, which I never figured out. I never thought he was any good. And Chad Beebe was, journeyman at best. And they had no one else. I mean, they've tried so many over the years, and they never got it. Now, this is maybe a year from now we're talking about, well, that was an experiment, didn't work out. Obviously, he's got a knee injury, which is you're gonna at least lose a step. The Adrian Petersons of the world are a freak show. It doesn't happen. I mean, typically you're going to have a step, and you're going to have ongoing issues here and there. But for a 1-year contract, I thought it was a brilliant signing. It was and we kind of fell into it because we had our new receivers coach is Keenan McCardle, and that's who's coached him. And he wouldn't be talking about bringing him in if he didn't see a reason to bring him in.
Yes.
So I'm excited about it.
Well, I agree with that. And the guy had sub 4 speed, so even if he dropped a little bit of a step, he's still going to be a burner as a slot receiver. So it is a very good move. Now, the move that hasn't been made, and you and I talked off the air about it, we do, and it's rare that I say I see both sides of this. You've got the Twins offered a deal to Byron Buxton. It was initially 7 years, $73 million. They bumped it up to $80 million, and that still wasn't enough, because Buxton wants to be paid as a player. He's a great talent when he's on the field. And in his career, he's 27 now, I think he's only been on the field more than 100 games once in his career. And his average, I saw something online which was staggering to me, but when you look at it, it's about right. He averages 50 hits a year. Now, he's had some certainly where he had over 100 hits, but when you take the average, it's not that great. And you and I think, do agree. I see the Twins' point. They don't want to overpay for a guy who gets hurt all the time, and he feels because he can be a great player, he should be paid for it. So, I mean, this is a tough one, and everyone fears he'll go somewhere else and become a superstar and play every single game.
And that's always the fear. I mean, that's still an ongoing fear they have with Sano, is that he's going to go on and become another Ortiz. But you got to understand that as a risk. And so, I see both sides as well. It's a tough deal. What do you do with him?
Well, you can't give him the money because he'll sit with it, but I guess you wind up letting him go. Maybe, you know what, though? Maybe the Twins decided if he takes the money, that'd be great. But if he doesn't, then we'll let him walk because it's not worth having someone you can't count on. Because every time he goes down, it does disrupt your lineup and disrupt what you can do. But he is a marvelous talent. The only thing you can do is put him at DH so he can't run into a wall. Or put him somewhere where he can't get hurt. But then you're losing all that speed and that, athleticism and ability as an outfielder. He's a great center fielder when he doesn't get hurt.
I've always thought when he's playing, he saves a half a run a game. That's what I think. And so, no, you can't have him as a DH. He is a phenomenal center fielder. That's what he's there. That's what you need him to do. So it's a tough deal, but there's a breaking point to everything. And I don't know where this ends up.
Well, then what they need is, I told you they should get Mike Lindell to build an outfield wall for him of pillows, or they need a guy in right or left that's faster than him that could run over and catch him before he flies into the wall. Something. They got to figure something out.
You can't coach caution.
No.
He's going to play, and he's going to play how he's used to playing. You can't coach him to be more conservative. It's just not. It's not in his blood. It's not in a superstar like that. They're going to be giving 100%, 110% every play, and you got to deal with that. And then wait for the fallout when the inevitable happens.
Well, but I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, and maybe not yours either. If he goes somewhere else, he'll become his new nickname will be the Iron Man, much like yours, the Iron Butt. Congratulations, by the way, after doing 1,000 miles in 24 hours, you did over 1,100, a relaxed ride over a 3-day period. So I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, we went. Just a friend of mine went into Wisconsin and did some roads that most of them I'd done before, and I obviously handpicked the roads I like the most. But then we went to an area way up by Eagle River that I hadn't done before, and just some spectacular roads. And I'm 55 years old, and your days are numbered on a bike. And you gotta take advantage of it when you got it.
Stop talking like that. There's guys in their 80s on their motorcycles.
Yeah, there are, and there's a lot of guys in their 70s and 80s that shouldn't be on a motorcycle.
Good point.
You start to lose your senses over time, and
I get
talk to my wife. I've already lost a few, and
that's funny.
And so you got to do it when you can. And we just had a really, really good time.
All right, now I'm going to switch gears on you to your other expertise besides motorcycle riding and the Twins and Vikings. It's workers' comp. And I would think that there are a lot of, we talked off the air briefly about this, subcontractors who assume that if they're hired by somebody, they have workers' comp coverage, but that doesn't seem to be the case, does it?
No, when you have your own business, if you have employees, you're required under the law to have workers' comp coverage on them. And just like my employees, I am required by law to have coverage on them, and I do. But it's optional to carry it on yourself. And I know enough about this business ever since I started working for, representing injured workers 20 years ago. I've always had coverage on myself. Now, in an office situation, the rate isn't that high. I grant that if you're in construction, the trades or truck driving or whatever, your rates are going to be higher. But I highly recommend anyone to add yourself in. I had a call this last week from a guy. He fell from a ladder, broke his neck in 3 places.
Oh.
He's got a fused neck. He's like, I think he said 52 years old and can't work at all. And he, got my name and talked to him and, wondering what he can do. Well, the answer is very clearly nothing. He opted out when he signed up, and now he's trying to tell me that, well, he didn't know that and all that. But those stories don't hold up. You are required to be offered when you're given your insurance policy by the insurance agent. They will tell you, and then you have to initial that you're signing yourself out. And I've had many of these stories over the years, and it's just timely right now because I just had it last week, another call, and not just a minor back injury. This is a severe injury, a broken neck. He's never doing any construction trade work again. And then so he has a subcontractor making a little more money because you make more money than as an employee. But if you do that, realize you've got to take care of yourself, and part of that is getting workers' comp coverage on yourself. I hate these stories. It makes me feel badly talking to them, but I have to tell them that, what the situation is, and I don't like that, and I would like it if people take care of themselves, get coverage on yourself, so if the tragedy happens, you do have workers' comp to go after.
Dave, let's say you do normally sub work. Can you ask? I don't think you can insist, but ask who hires you. Hey, I need to be covered by your workers' comp. Can that be arranged, or most insurance companies won't do that?
Most won't unless it's a big company. No. There are what's called, it's actually very common in huge construction contracts like the U.S. Bank Stadium or the 35W Bridge. So what you do is you call it a wraparound policy where the general contractor, the whole the general contractor has maybe 100 subcontractors.
Yep.
And the general contractor buys a huge workers' comp coverage called the wraparound that covers everyone involved in the project. But that only happens on large projects. I mean, you could ask, but I can't imagine the insurer for Joe's Construction, the insurer agreeing to cover any subsidies. I just think that you'd have to be so big for the underwriters to go through the math and so forth.
It sounds like, though, anyone who is a subcontractor, pick up the phone and change your policy. It could just be, it sounds like it shouldn't be much more than a phone call and maybe, sign it on DocuSign.
Add yourself in.
Yeah.
If you've got coverage, call your agent and say, I believe I opted myself out. They'll look at the policy. Yeah, you've opted yourself out. Say, add me in today. Get a premium adjustment, but, hopefully you never get injured. But if you do get injured, you're going to be really, really happy that you took my advice.
Bialke Law, BIALKE Law.com, or you can call this number that Dave's going to share.
Call me at 763-571-2410. That's 763-571-2410.
We'll take a quick break, and the BS Show will be right back. Welcome back to the BS Show. This segment brought to you by Arco Exteriors. Arco offers free consultations that can be contact-free. They provide knowledge and value by looking over the entire roofing system to make certain it's in great condition, and they will walk you through the entire insurance process. Arco Exteriors will handle everything on the outside of the house, including roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and decks. They cover the entire Twin Cities metro area. For more information, go to arcoexteriors.com. ARKOexteriors.com. And now, here is psychic Ruth Lorden.
We all see this intense revenge partying, spending, traveling, concerts, etc. I do predict that what is coming will be intense achievement. Inflation's real, The bubbles are bursting. The virus is here to stay in some form or another. My psychic feeling is this intensity is going to turn into do or die. Cuba, a very spiritual and magical place, they're starting this off. And I do predict intensity coming. We are going to see do or die attitudes everywhere. I'm really hoping the Vikings will get that attitude. I also do see a sale for the Twins. I have a psychic feeling that the Twins are going to get a change of ownership. So let's see how things play out. This inflation is real for a bit, but then we're going to have a fabulous fire sale as prices come down. And basically, America always wins.
If you'd like to set up a reading with Ruth, go to RuthLorden.com, RuthLordan.com. Thank you to all of our guests, all of our sponsors, all of our listeners, and our radio partners, WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, WBHR in St. Cloud, and the RadioWorks Network in Worthington. Enjoy what's left of the day, and we'll talk to you later.